Hey, you out there. Want some culture concise commentary? Want some co-hosts who actually are authentic and real? You can tell that they actually have some type of chemistry going on? Hey, cloud chasing. That's cool. I actually got something in mind for you. So keep listening. You'll find out.
This is Touchdowns and Tangents, your weekly spot for NFL takes, culturally concise, tangent, and context for the culture.
What's up, good people? I think my mic's on. I don't know. What's up, good people? It's been a hell of an episode already. We had Jake Elron from the Downtown Rams podcast, and now the Rams Edge on call in. Check that out. But yeah, man, he broke down the NFL draft for the Rams and just really gave a lot of credit to them in terms of getting the most out of not a lot of high picks. I think he pretty much liked all the picks and pretty much sees this team headed to another Super Bowl. Not a lot of weaknesses across the board. But yeah, overall, hopefully we got most of it, but I don't know what happened with the technical difficulties, so to be determined. Overall, though, great interview, great stuff from Jake, so thank you. And we'll be getting to the Chargers perspective in just a little bit. Kenny, anything else you want to say on the Rams draft?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much they shored up any holes they had on that team. And plus, you got guys from last year who didn't necessarily play a lot who are going to get a chance to get better. I mean, the tight end room is only going to get better. The O-line has more depth. There's still free agents out there they can go get if need be. They can probably get some guys to come in on a one-year deal, free agency-wise, on the defensive line if they really need backups that bad. But, I mean, there's so much talent out there. The Rams pretty much just – they have guys that fit their system and they know what they want. That's probably the most dangerous thing of all. But the fact that he picked the Bills to make the Super Bowl was actually really interesting. I mean, they got Dawson Knox. They got O.J. Howard. They get James Cook, which is really the home run threat that they needed at running back. I personally thought they were going to go Breece Hall instead of Kaiir Elam. I think I would have went Breece Hall just because. I mean, you look how fast the Jets snatched him up. I think the Jets just had the best draft overall just because they elevated their franchise with those picks. You look at who they drafted, who they got, especially on offense. I mean, it's not just on one guy anymore. You got Garrett Wilson, who's a dynamic playmaker. You got Corey Davis, who he's proven he can, former 5th overall pick, he can play. You got Braxton Berrios, this is a good 3rd, 4th option. They signed 2 tight ends, drafted Ruckert out of Ohio State. Now, you get Sauce Gardner, you get Jermaine Johnson. They trade back up in the first round to get Sauce Gardner. I mean, not Sauce Gardner, but Jermaine Johnson, who I'm shocked that he fell to 26. But, I mean,
some people had them taking him with the top pick. Top pick.
I mean, I wouldn't have taken him that high, but I was surprised the Ravens didn't take him. But the Ravens got like 4 first-round picks. If you look at their first 4 picks, it's ridiculous. Kyle Hamilton, Lindenbaum, the center. They get David Ajobo. Travis Jones, who some people said he was a first-round pick. He didn't go, to like the 3rd? So, I mean, that's 4 dudes right there. Starting nose tackle, starting center. I think they picked up a linebacker, too. They get another corner to work the slot. And he's the Alabama corner, so you already know what the deal is. Obviously, they get an A. I personally thought, I don't really know where to put Daniel Falele, but I guess Baltimore is a good place, if any, to put him. I saw him get beat too many times by dudes much smaller than him. Cool. I think he's gonna. He could probably lose more weight. He's 380, so he could probably drop, let's say, another 30 pounds. get stronger. I think he really has to just be quicker and really hone in on his technique, and he'll be all right. But let's talk about the Raiders draft.
So,
wait, hold on.
Then you have,
I got Jake's interview finally.
Then you have those. So all those guys, right? So you have all those guys, and then on top of it, the 6th round, you go out, you get a local kid, a guy from the area in Irvine, in Quentin Lake, who has NFL bloodline. So that is a great thing. But also a guy that has been referred to by Ram scouts as, a Jordan Fuller 2.0. I think he's similar to Fuller. I think he's similar to John Johnson. I think he's going to give you surefire tackling. He's more of a wrap tackler, not a hit, impact guy, which I like. He's got some underrated range. 4.59 speed is not slow. It's not blazing fast, but it's still that game speed translates. So this is a guy that has ball skills, and he played at a top-notch program in UCLA. So I really like that pick in the 6th round. Then the next pick, you go out. No, it's the 6th round. You've already done a really nice job with the lack of picks that you had coming in, and so you go out and get Darion Kendrick because they're like, why not? We have a really good coaching staff in the back end of our secondary. We've already met with this kid. We know that he stepped up his game when need be. Yeah, he might not play right away, but this is somebody that, he had some off-the-field issues that forced a lot of teams to take him off the board. There's a chance they could sneak this guy in the practice squad because of it. So, you add him to the roster, see what he can do. Obviously was a big part of a unbelievable Georgia defense. And then, they go out and they get Russ Yeast in the 7th round. They get Daniel Hardy. Daniel Hardy's really exciting, a Montana State pass rusher that I think has an incredible athletic profile you can really develop and, fine-tune him into something special. And you also get A.J. Arcuri, the Michigan State offensive tackle at 261, who I think has potential to potentially start at right tackle down the road. So all in all, guys, I gave it a B-plus draft. I thought it was pretty good by the Rams, seeing as they came in and they had already used those picks on guys like Stafford and acquiring Von Miller and Sony Michel. So what they were able to do was impressive to me. As far as their UDFAs, folks, I'm not going to lie to you. I think at the end of the day, they felt really good about their roster, so they didn't really go after the top-notch UDFAs. They went after guys that are going to compete, make a roster battle a little fun. But for the most part, unless you're looking at a guy like Jake Hummel, there's not many guys on this roster that they got from UDFA signings that are really going to contribute to the 53-man or are really going to compete with the guys that are, already slated to start and have key roles. I think you look at Jake Hummel, there's a reason why, they went out and got him. Probably one of the best available after the draft ended. So I had a 6th round grade on him, which was draftable. So, that's pretty much that. I mean, they have some interesting guys. Lance McCutcheon they added from Montana State, the wide receiver, but it's the wide receiver position. Like, that's loaded. There's some other guys, Roger Carter, the fullback / tight end, a guy to keep in mind. Daniel Isom, probably a practice squad candidate. Cameron Dicker, I'm sure you guys have seen him kick for Texas, but he's also a punter, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe he wins the competition over Riley Dixon, surprises some people. But all in all, I thought their draft was really good. Their UDFA was a little disappointing, but it's more of a sign that the Rams didn't want to go out and shell out cash for UDFAs that they didn't feel like they needed because they love their roster the way it is right now. That's why they go out and they trade for Troy Hill during the draft. And I feel like they have a really complete roster for the most part. And they've done all the moves that, they're really going to do. Layers to that running back room. Receivers, they're good. If they get OBJ, I think they'll bring him back, but even if they don't, they still have a lot of talent. Tight end, I think they're good. Offensive line, they're good. Defensive line. Edge is really more it's more of being like greedy, I guess, because you just had Von Miller. You're used to guys like Robert Quinn, Chris Long. It's an organization that's had a lot of really good pass rushers. Leonard Little, recently. And yeah, I mean, I think that's something where, you really like Justin Hollins and what he brings to the table. You hope for Terrell Lewis. But then after that, do they really have a surefire guy? Chris Garrett had a great preseason, but he is a developmental guy out of D2 college. And then Daniel Hardy, like I mentioned, he's got a ton of tools, but again, very raw. So you could argue edge, alongside Leonard Floyd. I really think as long as Justin Hollins stays healthy, they're good there. And then linebacker, they have Bobby Wagner and, Ernest Jones and Traven Howard. And they added Jake Hummel and UDFA, and they have Christian Roseboom, so they're really good there. Corner, they may not have gotten the Stephon Gilmore. They may not have added, they're probably not going to add James Bradbury. I'll just go out on the limb and say that now. But, they may not have gotten a big name, but Troy Hill knows this defense well. He knows the scheme. He has familiarity, obviously, playing with Jalen. And he has the versatility to play slot on the outside, play the star, which I think he's going to do. And then you look at safety and you're like, well, these guys do get hurt a lot, between Rapp and Fuller and Burgess. They added Quentin Lake to that, and they added Russ Yeast, who I don't even know if he's going to make the roster. You also have Nick Scott, who is probably going to start. So, yeah, they really just don't have a weakness. I think the only thing, if you are a hater of the Rams or if your team is, obviously a rival, an opponent, you're hoping that this team struggles, with the absence of Von Miller, with the absence of Robert Woods. And you're hoping that that ends up being the thing that ends up driving. Because I just don't. It's why, to me, I think that they're going to be in the Super Bowl again against the Bills.
Wow.
I just don't see many weaknesses, like you said. It's really hard to pinpoint any. And they drafted really well. So, yeah, I got to agree with you. I just don't really see any, as far as if you follow the team. Maybe the big-time media outlets that cover 32 teams that are not honed in on the Rams. So, they don't realize what Nick Scott did for that team last year. They don't realize that Kendall Blanton isn't actually a bad backup at tight end. They don't realize that Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Kyron Williams is one of the better, trios in the league at running back. Then, yeah, some people might think that they have some needs, but for the most part, yeah, I really think the Rams are really set. And I thought they were the better team, the best team in the league before they went out and got Wagner. So you can imagine where I'm at now.
Yeah. You look at, the Cardinals are losing DeAndre Hopkins for 6 games. You could say the Seahawks had an A. I would give them an A for their draft because they got 2 corners, they got a pass rush, they got a left tackle and a right tackle.
Oh yeah, Seahawks had a great draft.
Outside of, let's say, them.
All right, well, we'll get back to Jake in a little bit, but in the meantime, we got another friend of the show coming in to hear a little bit to talk about the team that I'm a season ticket holder of now, just to disclose all my conflicts.
Just conflicts of interest, or just you being a homer. But anyway, we have on Chargers beat writer, co-host of Compass on the Beat podcast, covers boxing.
That title.
I know it's dope. Man, not only that, most importantly of all, CSUN grad Gilbert Manzano on Zoom. Gilbert, how's it going for you, man? How's everything going?
Well, beers. Hopefully, I'm ready to conversate with you guys.
As it should be. Cinco de Drinko.
There you go. By the way, is this just audio or you need me to be on video?
No, it's just audio.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Unless you want to look at Kenny's mug.
I see the picture here, so that's good with me.
That's a catfish picture, though. So.
What year are we talking?
2010, 2012.
That's disrespectful. You didn't even know me in 2010.
Not too bad.
All right, Gilbert. So we're talking to the NFL draft, but ultimately the Chargers had a rock star offseason, and it still feels like they're kind of under the radar, especially here in LA. You know, we talk about it every time you come on, but how do you see that, and how do you bring that into your coverage?
Yeah, they definitely, they've come a long way. I don't know how far or how impactful it's been since, I started covering the team in 2018. So I'll just say there's definitely been progress. It's been a good amount of progress. It's hard to kind of judge the LA landscape, and especially right now because there's no games, no football.
Yep.
But even when you saw the Rams run to the Super Bowl, like it was nice, it was good, there was support, but you didn't really feel that vibe like when you do when the Lakers are winning or the Dodgers. Like you really feel that for a real sense.
Yeah.
But it was good progress for the Rams. Like the Chargers, maybe because I'm around it every day, I feel it. I see it. I see more bumper stickers. I see flags. I see jerseys. They're nice colored jerseys. They have a good quarterback in Justin Herbert. But on a bigger kind of, sense, they still have work to do. But judging from the last 4 to 5 years, I think they've made, a good amount of progress. And they probably would have been really stuck, from the 2018 days if it wasn't for the new quarterback and the new head coach and all the players they have that we're probably going to talk about right now. So there is progress, but definitely a lot of work to go.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember even driving through the city during the Super Bowl week, and it was like it wasn't until like maybe that Friday or Saturday where you started seeing the flags come out versus like the Dodgers. It's like as soon as they're in the wild card, you see the Dodger flags everywhere. Like you see, it's just a totally different energy, which you totally hit on. But
yeah, go ahead.
No, but outside of that, like what is it that excites you about this NFL draft? Just looking at top line, the young players that are coming in, what are you excited about from the draft?
Overall, or just Chargers kind of point of view?
The Chargers point of view.
Okay. From the Chargers standpoint, like again, it's not a sexy pick, but drafting Zion Johnson in the first round, 17 overall, is a smart, great pick for the entire offense and definitely Justin Herbert. What's been working for this Chargers team, I get it. They didn't make the playoffs a year ago. But if you know this team and you cover this team or you follow this team or whatever, for the last 20 years, like Phillip Rivers could be the one to tell you about this. They've had a terrible offensive line. They usually don't get any, steady contributions there, or they patch it for a year with some veterans, but it's never like a long-term thing. Last year, they finally got that started with drafting Rashawn Slater, the left tackle, in the first round, signing Corey Linsley, the center, and then the reliable left guard, also in free agency, Matt Filer. So when you have that three-piece, you got to keep going. So that's what they did with Zion Johnson, the fourth piece. And I like that they're plugging him at right guard. When he got drafted, Zion Johnson at Boston College, people were already tinkering with the offensive line, trying to make moves, move Filer to the right tackle, kick him over here or whatever. No. So I messed with chemistry, put in Zion Johnson at right guard, and they have one spot left to fill, and that's right tackle. That could really doom them in the season because we saw a year ago how Max Crosby ate up Storm Norton for that Vegas game. So they need a right tackle, but to have 4 really good ones out of 5 ain't that bad. So Zion Johnson is great. For the rest of the draft, it's a little bit questionable what they did because they didn't address a speedy wide receiver. But I like that they went out in free agency and got a Bryce Callahan for cornerback depth. They got Kyle Van Noy for edge depth. So they went best player available. You have talent, and then now you fill the needs after the draft. So I like the whole approach for the Chargers in the past week.
Yeah, because, Kyle Van Noy, you essentially can play all over the defense. Can play some middle linebacker and kind of let Kenneth Murray just run and flow to the ball. And then you factor in that they got Khalil Mack and, didn't they take Otito? They took Otito out of UCLA. And I watched him at the Senior Bowl. He was brutalizing people.
Okay.
It was him. JT Woods was, I think, really, that's kind of an insurance policy as far as a free safety because Nasir Adderley necessarily hasn't risen to a Pro Bowl level yet.
Yeah.
And Derwin James is kind of used as like a slot linebacker safety. Like he's used all over. And you really need that deep safety back there because you already got 3, reliable starting corners. Sante Samuel Jr., J.C. Jackson free agency, Michael Davis. Look at that pass rush. They're really built for speed and kind of, being aggressive. But the Zion Johnson pick was interesting to me because obviously you're not going to play him at center because you got Lindsley. And he's a super genius. Like he already has, I think he has like 2 master's degrees or something like that. Like he's like computer science engineering degree. He built a computer from scratch. Like he's a genius. I thought Trevor Pitting was going to be the pick because I think they needed a nasty right tackle. Some people say, the penalties, he's over aggressive. That's kind of what you want out of a right tackle. And Rashawn Slater already proved he can play left. I feel like in the AFC West, you need 2 bookend. Really, if you're going to get to the Super Bowl, you need 2 bookend tackles because every team has 2 bookend edge rushers at least. But I mean, they even could have took maybe a Kobe Bryant. Like there's Calvin Austin Jr. He kind of fell in the draft, but I think they're so comfortable with Guyton and Josh Palmer. Like, where do you see this offense going now that they, let's say, have 4 out of the 5 spots kind of shored up on that offensive line?
Yeah, no, you bring up some interesting comments on the tackle situation because everybody seemed like in the mock draft world penciled in Trevor Pitting to go on to the Chargers, and a lot of people thought he probably won't be available there. Like you expect a good run on the tackles, which happened with the first 3 guys, Cross, Neal, and Nicky. But Penny was hanging around there to 17, and I'm thinking, that could be the pick because it's a need. But from the people I've spoken to who were doing the research on this team and doing the scouting, it felt like he just wasn't ready. He was a project. He's a developmental player, and the last thing you want to do when you're a win now team is to reach. They had no time to wait on Trevor Penning, so when they were on the clock, I thought Trent McDuffie would be more of a chance than Trevor Penning because McDuffie is kind of more of a finished product. They need more corners. So especially at 17, because I thought Zion Johnson, you want a guard, you trade down a little bit to the 20s. So I'm thinking, okay, Zion will be great because he's polished, ready to go, offensive guard. But it sounded that's what Tom Telesco was trying to do, trying to trade down. Nobody was calling the phone. And after that, you check your board. You trust the board. And when if it says Zion Johnson is better than Trent McDuffie, you follow the board. So I think it came down to who's ready to contribute today. As you guys know, it's all about the rookie contract, and this is the final year on the Justin Herbert deal. You got to maximize it. You can't wait for guys to develop. And I think Zion Johnson was ready to go. And yeah, Kenneth, it could be an issue down the stretch on having a good tackle. You could definitely get by with some decent guards, but you can't get by with some trouble at tackle. So it could be a risky move. But they really view Zion Johnson as a big cornerstone piece for years to come. So just tell kind of Herbert to watch out on the right side. But I think Zion can make up for that. So I do like the kind of the ready now approach because you're trying to win now. The other kind of head scratcher is the wide receiver because Justin Herbert has probably the strongest arm in the NFL. Josh Allen could compete to that. Guys like Patrick Mahomes as well. But when you have a cannon with Justin Herbert, you want to have a speed, a deep threat down the field. And all you have to offer is Jalen Guyton. That doesn't make sense to me. But you can't complain too much because they do have Keenan Allen. They have Mike Williams. I think Josh Palmer is going to be a legit number 3. They're just lacking the speed, but they'll get by with that. So the problems that they have, I think, from compared to most years, they could get by. It doesn't seem like it's going to be the end of the world with these issues. But I think it came down to who's ready to play, and Zion Johnson's ready to play. And the JT Woods kind of pick was intriguing because that tells you they weren't best player available. They liked this guy in terms of unique skill set, all hawk speed. Like, they had Nas and Derwin, but they're like, you know what, this JT Woods guy, he's really athletic. He's fast. It's called best player available. And I think that's why they went out and signed Bryce Callahan to kind of make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, even them taking Isaiah Spiller was interesting. Because, you already kind of have, like, Eckler's the guy. You have Joshua Kelly still there. You have other guys in that backfield, and I'm surprised they didn't go D tackle. Like I just feel like with that pick, I think you probably could have either got another linebacker or maybe even receiver. Like how did you feel about the Isaiah Spiller pick?
Yeah, I think that was kind of another one that was a little bit surprised. Again, after the whole Zion thing, you could tell they were going best player because, it's not something you really need right away, a safety and a running back. But if you look at this team, like it's been Austin Eckler and that's it. Like they I don't want to rule out Joshua Kelly, but he hasn't done much in 2 years. And Larry Roundtree, the other rookie from last year, didn't do much either. And yeah, they want to be a pass-heavy team, but you got to help out Justin Herbert by running the ball. And when you're playing close games, you got to run it out. And Austin Eckler is not that guy to kind of be the bruiser towards the end. He's a dynamic two-way player, pass catcher and running back, and he knows that. That's one thing I love about Austin Eckler. He's always saying, "Give me help. I weigh like 190 pounds. Like somebody come step up." And that's Isaiah Spiller, man. Like he has the size, and he's also versatile. And you talk to all the draft experts; they pretty much ranked Isaiah Spiller number 3 in terms of running backs. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, and then Isaiah Spiller. So that's a good pick right there. I know people are discounting running backs nowadays, but if you want to be a tough team in the trenches and you already got a fearsome foursome at the offensive line, go get the running back to kind of help you out move the chain. So I like it. But again, I think they know that they avoided some needs in the draft because that's why you're seeing the Kyle Van Noy's and the Bryce Callahans. And that's good. They're not settling. They're going for the best players in the draft, and then you're going for veterans to kind of help out. Definitely it could cost them, in the long run. But I'm not mad at having Isaiah Spiller because I know this team has tried for the last couple of years to get the guy to fill in for Melvin Gordon. And Melvin Gordon, I feel like left a long time ago, but they have not been able to replace him. And I think Spiller could be that guy.
And when you look at just that division in itself, the whole AFC kind of reloaded. And the Chiefs obviously had a home run draft. But where do you feel like the Chargers rank in this division after this draft and free agency, especially with the Raiders doing what they did with Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones and then picking up Donald Parham at guard?
Yeah, the whole crazy free agency frenzy, with Chiefs trading Tyreek Hill to Miami and Devontae Adams going to the Raiders and Russell Wilson going to the Broncos, people kept asking me, how do you rank this division? And I'm like, yeah, I know the Chargers got Khalil Mack, but like, let's slow down. Like, I got to see what the draft, like the rosters are not over. They're not complete until you get to the draft. So people kept asking me and I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I like what the Raiders did. I think people will keep overlooking them. So I just put Raiders for the F of it and the division rankings. But now you're asking me after the draft, so I'm going to give you a true rankings here. I really like what KC did. I don't think they're going anywhere. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have the coaching staff, Bieniemy and Andy Reid, and they still have Travis Kelce. They get McDuffie and the rusher from Purdue in the first round. Like you're not helping the defense. That's always been the issue is the defense. You got those two guys in the first round. That really helps. And you come back in the second round, you get a wide receiver. You didn't have Tyreek Hill, but they got a good rookie wide receiver. I think I'm blanking on the name. Is it Sky Woods? I forget.
Sky Moore.
Oh, sorry. There you go. They got a wide receiver. You got Juju Smith and free agency. They might be some bigger receivers than usual for Patrick Mahomes, but I like the defense getting rebuilt. It's going to be a whole different brand on offense, but when you got the best quarterback in the NFL, you should be okay. You see it every year with the great ones like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and those guys. They'll make it work. Now, after that, I'll go with the Chargers. I like what the Chargers did by kind of filling some needs and free agency, and then getting some guys who contribute right away in the draft. So J.C. Jackson, we forget about that because it felt like so long ago. Khalil Mack to go with Joey Bosa. I'm kind of worried about the D tackles in the interior. You brought that up, Kenneth. Austin Johnson and Sebastian Joseph Day are young guys who are not household names, but they're intriguing. Like the skill set, they're big, they're athletic, they're versatile. And I think Brandon Staley's banking on the upside to come through. Sometimes you gotta dig through the free agency to kind of get your guy. So he was kind of playing with a different roster last year, and that could be why the defense was very terrible. But now he went and he got his guys. So I think the interior, the defensive line should be better. I don't know how good it's going to be, but it should be better than last year, or anything should be better than last year. But I'll go with Chargers number 2, and it gets really tough after that because I do like the Raiders, but how am I going to count out Russell Wilson? But I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go Raiders number 3 because I don't know. I just like Derek Carr and Devontae Adams and Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. That offense is underrated, I think. And they should be okay on defense after adding Chandler Jones and you got Max Crosby. They got to help out in the secondary and the linebackers, but they'll be okay. But the Broncos, the offensive line, I think has problems with Russell Wilson. I don't know about the receiving corps. People really kind of hyped them up a year ago. They didn't do too much. I know Jerry Jeudy has an injury. The running backs are okay. The defense should be good, but you lost Vic Fangio. Like the reason why the defense was good, he was a defensive mastermind, and now you're going with a rookie head coach. So it's tough. But I'm going Broncos last. But I wouldn't be surprised if 3 get into the playoffs.
And what worries you more? Brandon Staley in another situation where he could essentially get a gentleman's agreement and tie, but he blows it. Or the fact that the Baltimore Ravens pretty much got 4 first-round picks with their first 4 picks. Like, what scares you more?
Yeah, those Ravens, man. I feel like they kept saying they love like the big guys in the trenches, and they keep loading up, and you hopefully get Lamar Jackson back. But that AFC, man, it's loaded to get a playoff spot. And if you're a Chargers fan, you're thinking like, finally, this team is loading up, they're not settling, and they're like, oh wait, all these teams are getting better, and Baltimore is definitely one of them. I guess for if you're asking me who's kind of more scary, it's definitely the 4 guys over there with Baltimore. And I think Brandon Staley, maybe I'm kind of giving him too much credit, but I think he gets a lot of heat for the 4th downs. Maybe he really kind of, botched that whole situation there. But if you really followed the Chargers a year ago, the whole timeout situation, like, their rushing defense was terrible. Like, I think he felt like he needed to call a timeout just to have the option of stopping them. Like, I don't buy the whole thing where the Raiders were going to, run it out for a tie. Like, these are rivals. They're going at it. They want to win. And that was a great environment. I was there in Las Vegas. Like, you think those Raider fans want to see a tie? Like, no, they want to win. And it turned out perfectly for them. But the whole timeout situation, he had to do it, Brandon Staley, because it's just been a bad run defense. And the sad part was he called a timeout and he got on the field what he called his best run defense, and they still got gashed for 10 yards on 3rd and 4 by Josh Jacobs. So that tells you enough about how bad they were on run defense. And I think that's why Brandon Staley is going all out, him and Tom Telesco, for not settling on defense. That's why you see Calvin Noe and Bryce Callahan and J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack and Austin Johnson. And I could keep going on and on because that defense was terrible a year ago. And that was on Brandon Staley. He needs to take the fall for that because he is the guy calling the plays. Now he doesn't want excuses about not being his roster. It is his roster now. He has guys that fit the scheme. But in terms of kind of the 4th downs and being aggressive, I know a lot of old heads. I got a lot of emails like a year ago from the old heads saying like, I hate how this guy is trying to change football and be aggressive. I like it. You got to switch it up. You got to keep up with the game. Yep. And you got to be aggressive. It's all about the funny thing. I need to ask Brandon Staley because all you hear about modern football is offense, score. But he's kind of going the other way around and focusing on defense. Like, you're supposed to be the modern head coach. Why are you going all about defense? So I'm kind of curious to get his take on that. But he got a lot of heat for the 4th downs. I like it. You're aggressive, and when you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert, most times you're gonna get the first down. So I think his thing was like, yeah, it worked in KC, the first time around, the 4th downs, it worked against the Raiders the first time around. He went off of that too much instead of just judging every 4th down differently for every game. And when you have the playoffs on the line, maybe be a little more cautious. Or that game in KC, in LA against KC on Thursday Night Football. Like, these 2 games were on primetime football, the Week 18 Raider game and the TNF game against the Chiefs. And that's why he was kind of, penalized harder than the other games. But you got to judge these games all differently. He was poor in those 2 games, but he was great early on in the year. So It's going to be a redeem year for Brandon Staley, I guess. And, it was crazy following that whole Brandon Staley kind of roller coaster because the first 12 weeks, people loved the guy. He was like this new, wonder kid who knew everything about football. And now by the end, he was a crazy guy trying to change football and be aggressive on fourth down, and he blew it. So it was definitely a ride covering Brandon Staley.
All right, Gilbert. So last question, since it is Cinco de Drinko. What's your number one overall pick in terms of a taco in Greater Los Angeles? That's one. And two, what's your go-to Mexican cerveza?
Yeah, the question, the taco question, I get a lot, and it's hard to decide. One, it's hard to decide because a lot of options, and I'll say this about it because I've gone different places, and I lived in Las Vegas too for a little bit, and maybe San Diego could kind of contend with this, but there aren't any better tacos in LA area, like the legit tacos are for sure in LA, maybe San Diego, but people tell me about other places around the country. No, it's all in LA, and you can't really go wrong. The only thing I'll warn you, definitely go with the hole in the walls, the mom and pops, and I don't really go out too much for tacos because I got my mom, I got family, they do it right at home, and that's always better. But people always asking the question, and there's a lot. You see like a hole in the wall, and you see the price of the tacos are about maybe and right now it's kind of expensive because it's kind of the meat, it's pricey. But anything over like $3, man, you're doing something wrong for a taco. Like those are just to avoid the hipster tacos. They're like costing you $10. Yeah, and they're pretty. Put them on Instagram. No, like you need to find a place that has no reviews on Yelp, 1 star, the worst picture ever on Yelp, and you're going to the right place. So I'll say that in terms of that. But I was earlier today at Taco Boy in Anaheim. That was really good. So I'll give them the shout out because I was there recently. Cool. Definitely everything that I wanted was there. I had a michelada, Modelo, and definitely asking about the best Mexican beer for me is no doubt Modelo Especial.
Damn. All right. I thought you were going to go against the grain there, but sometimes the classic is the best.
What do you think? It's for different.
I'm a soul guy myself.
Soul? Oh, yeah. Wow, you are. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's a unique one. Okay.
But it's harder to find.
Yeah, it is hard to find, and Victoria is another one too. Those are good. Maybe that's why I didn't choose pick it. But I ain't saying Corona, man. I'm tired of Corona.
Nah. I'd go Pacifico, honestly, over Corona or Modelo.
Okay, I'll go Modelo, and then Pacifico is my number 2.
Yeah. All right, Gilbert. Well, if you want to just plug your social channels and what you got coming up, where the people can follow you and keep up with the great stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try to take a break. I'm done with the draft, but I just released a pretty in-depth feature on Zion Johnson. Like I spoke to his high school coaches. I spoke to the mother. I spoke to a lot of people for this feature. So you want to know more about Zion Johnson, the first pick of the Chargers, check it out, the Orange County Register, LA Daily News, or go to my Twitter. I have it pinned up in my profile, at GMonsanto24. You can find my work there on Twitter. If you ever want to, yell at me like the old heads about Brandon Staley via my email, it's gmonsano@scng.com. That should be it.
All right. He won't read it until he's back from vacation, y'all. So.
Exactly, man.
All right, Gilbert. Well, thank you, man. Stay safe and keep up the great work. We appreciate you giving us some time and enjoy your break.
Oh, always for my Matadors, for sure.
Yep, and we're gonna pull up on the next family party and get that family sample taco.
I will bring a 12-pack. I will bring a 12-pack.
There you go. Bring the salt. You got it for sure.
All right, take it easy, man. Thanks.
Take care, guys.
All right, well, that interview really redeemed our whole technical difficulties in the first half of the show. So shout out to Gilbert for calling in. Future versus Deep, giving us some fire on the Chargers. Check out his feature on Zion. But yeah, man, so we only got a few minutes left in the show. Anything else you want to touch on the draft before we wrap it all up?
Well, I mean, I was just going to get straight to the news. I mean, something's happened, but pretty much we can just go straight to the rants, honestly.
That's what I'm thinking. That's why I'm asking if there's anything else you want to share on the draft.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill, you're a little bitch for what you said. I don't have to. It's not my job to mentor Malik Willis. It wasn't Marcus Mariota's job to mentor you either, but he did.
Did he though?
He kind of did.
Didn't
Everybody
Ryan
who was
Tannehill
there
come
said he did.
after?
Doesn't matter. He laid the groundwork.
I mean, didn't Tannehill come before?
No,
Mariota?
he got benched for him. He got benched.
I know, but didn't Tannehill come? Wasn't he drafted before Mariota? Because wasn't Tannehill in the RG3 Andrew Luck class?
All I know is Tannehill was on the Dolphins and came to the
Yeah, but I
Titans.
think Mariota,
Mariota
was
was
actually
still
drafted
there.
after.
Yeah, he was after, but it's like he was the starter. Like they were all in on Mariota.
Yeah.
But my thing is, you only say that because you know this dude could take your job. If it was like anybody else, you wouldn't have said shit. Like if it was Carson Strong, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. But you realize that dude's 4'4", has a rocket for an arm, and actually has a better college career than you. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually Mariota was drafted in 2015 and Tannehill was 2012.
Yeah, but I'm saying Tannehill was broken when he left Miami because of Adam Gase. He kind of had to rebuild himself up. He had to rebuild himself, and because Mariota got hurt, then he became the guy. But Mariota was the guy.
Who did Tannehill beat
Mariota
out in
got them a
Miami?
playoff
I'm trying to
win.
remember who he beat out. Was it Pennington?
Who?
Chad Pennington?
Chad Pennington been retired.
Who did he beat out in 2012?
Matt Moore for the
Matt Moore?
Dolphins hit the Dolphins.
Well, was he the starter then? I don't think he
Matt
was.
Moore-
Because he was the backup for Tannehill for like 2 more years after that.
Wait, he just chose to be a backup. He was on Hard Knocks, but Matt Moore was like a journeyman.
No, I know who Matt Moore is. Believe me, I'm familiar with Matt Moore.
Other UCLA guys?
Is that what he claims? I thought he was at Oregon State.
Technically, he's Oregon State.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of that UCLA running back though. That was it Jordan James? Oh yeah, that's who you had beef with.
That's who you were talking about earlier. Now I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, I just think it's lame to say that. You're supposed to be the leader of the team. Like, you're supposed to bring everybody with you. Tyrann Mathieu signed with the Saints. So that's pretty dope. Braylon Addison allegedly may or may not transfer from Pittsburgh and collect a record-breaking NIL deal to play at USC. So everybody's mad about it now. Oh, yeah, and the biggest bombshell of the night.
Damn,
Outside
you're
of
right,
the-
it was Matt Moore. He beat out.
Outside of the Tyreek versus DK Metcalf race, but we know who would win that. Tom Brady admitted the Tuck rule was a fumble. Son of a
shit
bitch.
was wild. That shit was wild. That shit ruined my whole day, bro.
Like, white people can admit that, yes, we're all racist and we know it, and that still wouldn't make me as mad as the Tuck rule. Because I would expect the other. But to just come out and say, yeah, it was a fumble. You son of a bitch. Now that we all like you, you just admit that.
He's about to be a Raiders owner or GM. So he's gonna be in that organization now. Fuck. This is the foreshadowing right here.
He's going to own either the part of the Niners or part of the Chargers or part of the Raiders. He's going to have a senior advisory
And you
role.
heard it here, folks. If this actually ends up happening in the next 5 to 10 years,
Touchdowns and Tangents called it.
Yeah, we don't want fucking flowers. We want a fucking
Sponsorship
garden.
money. I want
want
sponsor
a whole weed plant.
Just want all the sponsorship
Some
money you can think
straight
of.
up shit from Afghanistan. Like if it ain't from Afghanistan, we don't want it. But all right, man. So let's go ahead and get to the rants. Close out the show before we get ran again.
That was my
on
rant.
network. That's the only thing that's going to make things worse.
Mother's Day is this Sunday. I got to get my mom and sister something, and then my mom's birthday is May 15th. So yeah, and my nephew is getting bigger and stronger by the day. Whew. Shout out to the homie Jordan. He turned 30. Welcome to the club.
Happy birthday, Taurus season.
Welcome to the 30 and up club. His birth. I don't think he turns 30. And shout out to JD. Today's his actual birthday.
Yeah, shout out to JD. I might go to his party too.
I can't make it. Unfortunately, I work. The one day I finally work a job where I get a Saturday night off and everybody playing something on a Friday night. I just can't win from losing sometimes. But anyway, shout out to everybody out there who rocks with us. Touchdownsandtangents.com.
Wait, I haven't given my rant.
I'm just giving mine. I'm signing out. Shout out to pirate.com. Hopefully we get that monthly, what's it called?
Creator residency.
Yeah, it'll be dope. Vote for us to get that creator residency. Touchdowns and tangents. We do this 280 episodes in. Pete, take it away.
I didn't know it was a voter thing. I thought they just.
I'm just saying, put our name in the running anyway, even if it's not. everything matters.
At private.com every day.
Give touchdowns and tangents. Touchdowns and tangents.
Sponsor
residency.
touchdowns and tangents.
Hashtag.
Give them equity in your whole business.
Hashtag TDT
I'm
residency.
sure you guys need some diversity anyway. As you're all from the
Hashtag
UK.
TDC. Hashtag TDT residency. I'm telling you now.
You should hear Kenny's English accent. It's epic.
Pip pip cheerio.
Wow, that was kind of racist. I didn't think you were going to go that route.
How was that racist?
You could have went.
That's literally a cartoon.
Anyways. All right, man. So, just to close out my show, our show. I'm sorry.
I was like, whoa.
I turned 30. I turned 30 last week while also in Vegas.
Did you use deodorant?
Shout out to Swale. He came through the day club. It was fun.
Sway Lee, bro.
Whatever. Shout out to Slim Jimmy. I don't know where he was, but I hope he's okay.
Ray Shermer.
Yeah, man. Free Ray Shermer. And actually, there's like a third guy in there, too, that never gets talked about. He's like the producer.
He quit, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think
quit
he did.
Came back? Or just quit altogether?
Yeah, they're actually from, even though I think they grew up in Atlanta, but they're actually from Inglewood, if I remember correctly. So, West Coast adjacent. But yeah, man, I had a good time with my girlfriend. Enjoyed the Airbnb. It's a nice day, so shout out to the Airbnb. But,
shout out to Dave Chappelle stomping that dumbass out who ran on stage.
But yeah, man, outside of that, like, it was a good birthday. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, it's crazy because you put so much emphasis on the turning 30 and then it happens and it's just like, I've already been 30. It's like, what really changed? Like, what really changed? Not much, unless you change it yourself. So, got to continue to make moves and continue to take chances. Just like last week when I went to Vegas on a whim, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, loved it. Even though I took a lot of L's, it was definitely an experience. And I promise you, when the draft is here in 2024, it's going to be a totally different story. Just like I said, when the Super Bowl happened, it's going to be the last Super Bowl that we're not at. This is probably going to be the last draft where one of us doesn't have credentials for sure, because there's way too many people in that green room who weren't really doing shit. So,
there for the clout.
Anyways, with that, man, shout out to all the people who fuck with us. Shout out to Gilbert. Shout out to Jake. Shout out to pirate.com. Shout out to the technical difficulties. Next time, hopefully we'll do better. But either way, thank you for listening. Thank you for messing with us. Touchdownsandtangents.com. Peace.
Peace. I'm going to need something to drink. I'm thirsty.